Hello, my name is Susan Schoenfeld, and I am a Senior Legal Editor at Business and Legal Resources, Employment Law Publications. I'm here today to talk about the Family and Medical Leave Act, or FMLA, abuse. One of the biggest FMLA frustrations for employers is knowing what to do with an employee who appears to be abusing the FMLA. There are a number of strategies that you can use to control FMLA abuse and fraud in your organization as a whole. And fraud actually tends to be a more manageable problem than simple abuse. For example, employers tend to have better luck sniffing out an employee who takes a week of FMLA leave to, say, go on a hunting trip, than proving that an employee is using an already certified medical condition as an excuse to sleep in on a Monday morning or take off early on a Friday afternoon. Now, first and foremost, it's important to realize that just because an employee is on FMLA leave does not mean that he or she needs to be bedridden at all times, nor does it mean that the employee can never leave the bedside of a family member for whom he or she has been certified to take care of. So what is FMLA fraud then? Well, quite simply, it's using FMLA for reasons other than which it has been approved. Some examples of FMLA fraud might include working another job when the employee is supposed to be at a doctor's appointment, using leave to cover a personal absence that isn't related to a serious health condition at all, or my personal favorite, employees who are medically certified as not being able to stand, twist, or jump, who make a miraculous medical recovery every Thursday at 6 p.m. just in time for their team's softball game. So as you can see, rooting out more subtle types of FMLA abuse takes some diligence on your part. And one of the best strategies we can use is tracking patterns of leave. Employers need to keep an eye out for absences that tend to be concentrated in particular departments or with certain individuals, or as well as those that occur in conjunction with holidays and weekends and even paydays. Because the evidence that you'll find of abuse is usually going to be circumstantial rather than medical, it's important that you track the evidence over a long enough period of time so as to demonstrate that the suspicious absences are due to more than mere coincidence. So let's take a look at some strategies for reducing FMLA abuse in your organization. The first strategy I'd like to talk about is training. Training supervisors about FMLA and your policies should be your first step in combating FMLA abuse. Frontline supervisors are usually the eyes and ears of an organization, and employers depend on supervisors for information about potential FMLA abuse issues. Providing even 30 minutes of training a year, I believe, can go a very long way to helping combat FMLA abuse. At the very least, it will sensitize the supervisors as to the importance of giving you a heads up when potential FMLA abuse problems arise. The second strategy I'd like to talk about is, once you've received a request for FMLA leave, it's important, as a rule, in reducing abuse to make sure that the employee is actually eligible for that FMLA leave. Believe it or not, many employers just assume that an employee is eligible for FMLA leave rather than taking the time to run the eligibility steps set forth in the law. Sometimes employers, or many times employers, find themselves first granting FMLA leave and later finding out that the employee was never actually eligible for that leave in the first place. The third strategy I'd like to talk about is requiring certification. Employers should consistently require certification and recertification, if applicable, of the employee's serious health condition. This lets an employee know that you're paying attention and that the FMLA policies regarding recertification will be applied in every case for every individual. When you're obtaining that certification, think about attaching the employee's job description to the medical certification form, or at least attaching a list of essential functions of the employee's job so that the healthcare provider can accurately assess whether or not the employee is capable of performing the requirements of their specific job, or whether or not they're incapacitated from doing so. The fourth strategy: don't settle for marginal medical certifications. Employers should require employees to provide satisfactory, detailed, and complete certifications as a condition of FMLA leave. If they don't do so, that is, if the employee does not provide that adequate certification, employers should follow up using all of the tools that the FMLA allows. Primarily, the venues or the avenues that an employer would have is requiring an employee to correct the certification first, or using authentication or clarification as allowed under the FMLA regulations. The last strategy I'd like to leave you with today is, throughout an employee's absence, keep track of the use of FMLA leave. Remind the employee from time to time how much leave they have and how much they have used. Doing so can be particularly valuable when you're wrestling with intermittent leave, another huge problem area for employers. And finally, don't be afraid to seek recertification if you learn about information raising questions about the employee's stated use of leave. The tracking and recertification methods are probably employers' best defense in keeping a lid on FMLA abuse. So those are the strategies that I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you find them helpful, and I wish you good luck.